All right. Good afternoon. I'm veteran coach Jeff Rogers with fellow Navy man, veteran coach Ash Harmon. How are you doing today, sir?
How you doing? That's a bigger question.
I'm doing
So,
great. Motivated, dedicated, and disciplined. Let's just say happy Wednesday, all my veterans out there. Thank you for spending some time with us today. Okay. Before we get started there, almost forgot the S. Before we get started with today's topic, let's sound off. You have a comments section. All right. If let us know, where you're tuning in from, what branch, and years of service. I'll start. I'll say Oklahoma. The only branch that I do know of is the United States Marine Corps, and 15 years. 15 years between my active and my reserve time. What about you, Coach Harn?
So fellow Navy guy here, Department of the Navy is representing today. So that's awesome. Desert Storm, Desert Shield, veteran, client, as well as a coach here. So
I like that.
Yeah. Good stuff.
I like it. No, we're about 2 mics in. We got Boris. All right, there we go. There's all my Marines coming in. They're coming in. All right, Chicago, Illinois. Don't pronounce the S. I know you're not supposed to do that, but I'm born and raised east of there. They're a little town called Michigan City. So Semper Fi to my Marines, Semper Fortis, Semper Paratus, Hua to the Army types, wherever you're coming in from. Yeah, we're going to get started on honestly a pretty good topic here in a couple minutes at both ends. You know, it's GERD and IBS. What was it, a year ago? Mm-hmm. About a year ago. That's now you're able to have literal both. So like you said, you were a Gulf War vet, right? It could be out of that multi-system undiagnosed. I can't remember the name of it, but the point is GERD, right? It could be one of those conditions, or stands for gastroesophageal reflux disease. We'll get into that. And IBS, IBS, if you're like me and I pronounce it that way, irritable bowel syndrome to be more correct. All right, here we go. We got more coming in. There it is.
Air Force coming in strong.
I like Doug. Doug says Chicago, 20 years Navy and Air Force. So blue water, and he flew. So I like it. He's got wings and legs for both the water and air. Willie, Semper Fi. I love it. This is honestly, there's one. We got Tony Pabon out of Schweinfurt, out of Germany. So yeah, we're coming in here from all coasts, all branches, all hours. You know, East Coast, West Coast, Pacific Standard Time, Mountain Standard Time, Central, where I'm at. So thank you for joining us where you're coming in from. Thank you. I love it. All right. In about a minute, we'll go ahead and start the period of instruction, right? That's what I used to call it in the Marine Corps, but no, it's just going to break down some things from the GERD and IBS. So definitely, if you have any questions as well, like you're doing now, go ahead and put it in there. All right. Well, perfect.
We're gonna have a lot of fun today, for sure. Even on these topics, believe it or not, it is actually pretty fun. But hey, since we got a couple minutes there, Jeff, what brought you into becoming a coach at VA Claims Insider, man?
Serving veterans. I saw the job posting. Little hesitant, and I actually applied, and that was 4.5, almost 5 years ago now. So I'm very grateful for it. What about yourself, sir? You said you were a client turned coach. Is that true?
That's true. I'm still actually a client now, and worked with my coach for a couple of years, and decided this is a good way of paying it back as far as all the education that I went through, and seeing our veterans get the ratings they legally, morally, and ethically deserve. So absolutely.
I completely agree. When I first came in, I did my own claim. I was a little disjointed, but I'll be honest with you, doing this, I wish I would have had this service, educate, coach. I wish I would have had a coach. Hey, coach. Hey, I got this. Where's this going on? Except for when I did, I was kind of like, what do I do? But no, as veteran myself, 4 years active, reserve, 11 reserve, and actually just resigned my commission about 8 months ago, so no longer am I in, but still loved every minute of it, excuse me.
Yeah.
So if you are here first time, you're signing in, coming in, if you have a coach already or wherever you're at in the process, thank you for being with us. I want to say that first and foremost. And like Coach Ash said, hey, it's education, coaching, but it's also what you're legally, ethically, morally deserving of, right? That's Brian says it the best, right? Get your butt to the doctor, but also those three things as well. So, all right. I'm going to go ahead and read this if I may. We always have to. So let's just go ahead and get started into it now. The disclaimer. Okay. We are not accredited agents, VSOs. VSO stands for Veteran Service Officer. Okay. It's an acronym. And then attorneys or any other entity recognized by the Department of Veterans Affairs, known as the VA. And we are not affiliated with the VA in any way. VA Claims Insider is an education-based coaching company for disabled veterans exploring eligibility for increased VA disability benefits and who wish to learn more about that process. VA Claims Insider also connects veterans with vetted independent medical professionals in our preferred provider network for medical examinations and independent medical opinions, also known as an IMO. So if we say that IMO, that's what we're referencing for a wide range of disability conditions. The SEAM method, we've said it. I think I alluded to it. You said ethically, morally, legally deserving, right? It's also, you want to have a focus. You don't want to be out there doing, 10 pounds of stuff on a 5-pound wet sack. If you've ever heard that metaphor from our military time, you want to have a strategy. Get with the coach today. Get that strategy. You're doing the education right now. Once we get past this explanation period, right? It's a period of instruction. We're going to talk about IBS and GERD a little bit. So that's what that means. And then also the medical evidence piece, right? You may have it already. You may not. Give us a shout. You see the information right there at the bottom of your screen. And I'm here. Coach is here. This is what we do. I mean, yes, we were in the military. We have jobs ever since, but this is my family. I love what I do, and this is definitely one of the best things I have done. So, Ash, right? One-on-one coaching, right? Like you and I are doing a teaching of this period of instruction. It would be similar in that sense with you and your coach, one-on-one, right? You get in there too, also with their EPC, a lead process coordinator. They're as just as much, and if not as valuable as that coach, as your first POC. Get in there, that claim submission education, right? We can't do the claim for you. You're going to do it yourself, but hey, you're going to have a coach with you, educate you on that process, and then getting you up to that CNP exam. We've heard about it. Ash, how many have you had? Give me a number. Couple?
Oh, just with my mental health alone, I've done probably 12, maybe 20 if I really look down at it. So.
Well, being a Marine, I can't count that high. That's a joke. I'm just saying that the CNP exam is there. And if you have a coach, a little bit less probably nerve-wracking, right? Having that person with you. We do live classes. We're doing a live class right now via, Facebook, but the other modality is Zoom, right? You sign up, become an elite member. You got that with us too, 3 times a day. And that, it's vaci1.com. Check it out. That's the link for getting the coffee with the coaches. It's a great place to start the morning, whether you drink a 0-calorie, or a coffee or a Diet Coke, whatever it is, start your day Monday, Wednesday, Friday with some veterans, just like here, but you'll have an interactive space instead of having 2 veterans, right? 2 coaches talking, not at you, but engaging with you. Mental health, medical examination. And if you're still on the edge, go ahead. Not on the edge. I'm sorry. If you're still on the fringe with, I don't want to know, maybe I should, check out that vaclaims.help for that discovery call to talk with somebody, right? You may be in that area. I don't know. I've not done any of this. Where am I? What do I do? Just, that's why you're here. Start with that first strategy. The strategy would be calling first. Okay. So, Coach Ash, anything else on the topics that we have set forth, what we can do for them possibly if they sign up with us? I mean, of course, we're our own personal flair. You were a Navy guy, a Marine guy. So you get that as well.
But, yeah, absolutely.
Are you ready?
I'm ready, brother. I'm ready, man. Just a quick little note before we do get started.
Yes, sir.
There are a lot of questions piling in here, so we're going to try to get to as many, and if not all of them during this call. But if your answer or your question doesn't get an answer, just hang tight. We've got someone that will answer your questions, even if our time period is over today. So.
Nope, I appreciate that. It helps. You got to have the Navy here, because if I didn't have them here, they would not be able to transport me. Logistical support, admin support, anything else. Thank you, Navy.
Yeah. So that's a good segue into the topic, right? Diagnostic. That's a good start. And if you become an elite member here and you start to educate yourself on the process, a lot of this will start to make a lot more sense. You can definitely check out our website. If there's anything that pops up as far as questions, like what is, DC code 7206, right? Well, that's gastroesophageal reflux disease. I said that without actually getting tongue tied. GERD, right? So
got it. There it is. You said the what? I know what you said now. I got it.
Really, in a nutshell, like what is GERD? So GERD is a chronic digestive disorder. Of course, digestive, I start to get tongue-tied on that one, right? So where stomach acid or bile irritates the food pipe lining. We're not doctors, so a lot of this is you may already be experiencing some of these conditions. And if not, if you haven't seen a doctor about it, get your butt into the doctor, right? Medical evidence, what Coach Jeff mentioned earlier, is huge. So, if you're having issues where, regurgitating food or, sour liquids, chest pains, if you're having issues with swallowing, chronic cough, the list goes on when it comes to it. And the new VA disability ratings for GERD, I think they changed this last May. And again, comes back to that DC 7206 code. It can range anywhere from 0 to 80%, and it's got breakpoints in there, 10, 30, and 50%, all based on the severity of those esophageal strictures. And that's a key phrase that you want to keep in mind when you're getting your medical evidence, esophageal stricture, right? So how often your treatments are, any dilatation, dilatation. Yeah, not dilation. That's a completely separate thing there. If those are needed, whether that's an esophageal stent, if that's required, or if you need surgery, there is a PEG tube if it's necessary for that side. And I think kind of transitioning over, when we talk about GERD, we talk about IBS as well. And when that comes down to it, I'm actually going to flip over to you for IBS on that one, Coach Jeff. You mind kind of touching a little bit on that?
Yeah, I'll go the other end. A little joke there, but yeah, it changed a year ago. Thank you for covering down on what GERD is. Before they looked at it as pyramiding, right? You can't have one, you can't have them both. Now it was about a year ago they changed it so you can have both GERD and now IBS. IBS, it's the numbers don't range as high, right? The severity of symptoms are only based upon a 10, a 20, and a 30% rating scale, right? So IBS, I'm not a doctor. I mean, as much as a Marine as I like to think I am, or I stayed at a Holiday Inn. That's a joke if you understand that one. No, it's just what I would say chronic functional gastrointestinal disorder, kind of like GERD, but it's at the other end, right? This dealing with the abdominal pain, your bowel, the bottom portion. So for me, somebody that has it, I'll be a little bit open, honest, and vulnerable. Yeah, I suffer from it. First part in the morning, a couple hours, maybe, depending if the medicine's not working or kicking in, so to speak. Yeah, I mean, if you have it, pain, cramping, bloating, the gas, the diarrhea, the constipation, or both. All right. So you could be plugged up, and I'm being professional. I know we were in the military, we have that humor, but listen, this is an issue that plagues a lot of individuals, and it could be from a primary condition, right? It could be from a mental health disorder that you already have primarily connected, Sorry about that. Or it could have been from a condition in service where, you're eating the bags of fun, like I called them, the MREs, right? Was it due to so it's veteran dependent, specific to you, whether it's a primary condition or that secondary condition, right? Then if the secondary bodes and you have that, right, you need to have, what is it? A part of our, not the clue is a triangle, but we call it the golden circle. Current diagnosis. You said it earlier, Coach Ash, you said, get your butt to the doctor. So yeah, if you've got the current diagnosis, all that stuff goes and bodes well. So kind of the severity of it, what is, at the higher ends, what happens. I wrote it down a little bit. There's 6 criteria that need to be met. All right. The IBS looks at 6 things according to the diagnostic code in the chapter 38. Change in stool frequency, kind of similar to, right, if you're going to do a CMP exam. When I did mine, it was all about frequency, severity, and duration, right? Frequency, how often, how long, and how bad. So the VA wants to know for you or any veteran, change in frequency, the stool frequency, the form, right? Was it an altered stool passage? Here's a big word. I'm not a doctor, but it's right out of the CFR. I had to look it up too. Mucouria. Do you have more mucus when you're defecating? Do you have more mucus? So these are things that when you get into with your doctor, if you get into start using the VA Claims Insider hub, you get in there and start looking at all this stuff, even with the CFR. These are things that you will need to look at. This is what the VA rates you at, right? But then you need to put your mind and not your mind, but your records and think, okay, how do these apply? Whether at the 10, the 20, and the 30. The last things are, like I already stated, abdominal bloating, and they would call it subjective distension. So not a doctor, just what it says in there. The differences between the 10, the 20, and the 30 are simply your frequency of going to the doctor, right? So the frequency based on that, and there could be other symptoms, of course, but those are just the main ones for now. So as we said, you can get both, right? Now, let's go then to kind of what changed. Do you know what changed there, Coach Ash?
Yeah, that was both a nice follow-up there, because, you mentioned it about, the changes that were made. And could you actually get a rating for GERD and IBS separately, right? You talked about the pyramiding. So yeah, you can get separate ratings for both GERD and IBS. You could get a GERD rating at 50%, let's say. Again, that DC code for esophageal stricture with acid reflux, and you could get 20 or 30% under IBS. So prior to May of last year, May 19th is when it was. Veterans, you weren't eligible to receive separate ratings for GERD and IBS, because again, goes back to the prohibition against pyramiding. With GERD, it used to be rated analogous to, that's a good word, analogous. Am I saying that right? Sounds like an island in the Pacific somewhere, to hiatal hernia. And IBS was rated analogous to, man, I'm going to have to look that one up. Doesn't sound right.
No, I got you.
So yeah, that prohibition against pyramiding on the VA digestive system conditions is no longer in play under the new rating scales. So,
and I like that. It's a lot better for the veteran because, like I said, you've been doing this a while. I've been doing this a while. And I know prior to that change, and then even after that change, I have anecdotal, right, evidence of me stating it. Veterans would say, hey, I saw you guys put out, or Brian, I think it was even Brian Reese. He's like, I put out that the VA, they can do this. And I've got it. I know I've got it. I was like, I can see it. Right. So that's a part of this process. Okay. Even us as coaches, right, we're doing this in the VA curveball. Hey, you can get both now. We're not going to do it under the hiatal hernia. We're going to do, like you said, the 7216, and we're going to still keep the IBS on the back end, no pun intended, or was it 7319, right? So they're going to keep it there, and that's better for you as the veteran. Like the example, I love that example, what you said, because you can have a severity of, maybe you might have a 10% for the GERD. right? Your GERD just isn't what it is, but man, your IBS, you are 30. So I love that. It's a very veteran dependent and very specific to you. Thank you for clarifying what that was as well.
And that was honestly a really good change that they did when it came to, splitting IBS and GERD as two separate things there. I know there may be a couple questions, or there may be some thoughts as far as, when I talked about pyramiding, and Coach Jeff mentioned that as well, the prohibition against pyramiding. Just as a quick note here, what that is it's a principle that's used by the VA to ensure that the veterans don't receive multiple disability ratings for the same disability or same manifestation of a disability. So now that they've split those two into two different categories, that goal of avoiding overcompensation for a single impairment, that's where pyramiding comes into play. So just wanted to kind of touch on that real quick. If that was something that someone may have gone, well, keeps talking about prohibition against pyramiding. I don't get it. Well, that's what that is, right? So, and there is a 38 CFR for that. That's one thing I would highly recommend, something that I'm constantly doing every day. I'm looking at the 38 CFR. That's what the VA uses to determine whether or not claim can be rated, what it's rated at, what laws and rules need to be applied for that condition. So, that purpose for that prohibition, you can definitely dive in there so that the digestive disabilities, particularly when it comes to the abdomen, they can be closely related, so overlapping manifestations that aren't combined under that 38 CFR. And honestly, that's how you can get in the extra compensation for either the same disability or facet of the disability. So,
maybe look at, with the coach as well. You have these questions. You could look it up. Great. I always plug and push, get a coach, sign up. That way you're not alone, right? It may be a program for you. It may not be 50-50. If you get in here, you get a coach, you can, not that you can go from coach to coach, but you can, see what how your mentality or your personality aligns with that coach. I know I usually align with all my people very well, especially for this reason of you coming, hey, I've got this question and you may have, I want to do this claim or that. Keep an open mind, right? It may be the case that you suffer from something, right? But you haven't been to the doctor. You're just now getting into that process, right? That's what we say, get your butt to the doctor. And furthermore, that kind of is another segue. I'm not really a fan of those two-wheeled bikes. I don't know why we keep saying that. So let's just say a lead in. I've fallen on my face on one of those. Okay. Being a disabled vet in the back, my son was like, let's try it. And no, I fell on my face, but it's okay. There was safety there, first aid. So speaking of first aid and getting your butt to the doctor, medical diagnosis. Why is that such an important piece? You could have your service treatment records. You could have said, I was with the corpsman if you're Navy or Marine Corps. I went to base medical, Air Force, whatever it is. The fact remains is you have time in the military, right? I had my time in the military. You had your time, but do you remember that you went to the doctor every day for that thing? Did you take medicine, or what was your op tempo? Did you have a deployment? Did you not have a deployment? I'm saying a lot of things that may be catching with you or maybe not, whether combat or non-combat, service related, on a National Guard, whatever it is, you still need a current diagnosis. Okay, you need a current diagnosis. VA medical records, get your butt to the doctor there. Great, over 50% if you are. Please, even if you're under 50%, still go to the doctor there. They may have some, cost associated medical stuff such as that, but get your butt to the doctor. Huge. What's another word for connection, Coach Ash? Right? It's a fancy word. Begins with an N and ends with X's. So,
can I answer it? Nexus? Did I get it right?
You got it, ladies and gentlemen. So why is that Nexus? Why is the Nexus letter important? So, hi, I'm John Smith. I come to you. I got GERD. I have IBS. Why is a Nexus letter important? If I went to the doctor in service, but I haven't been in 10 years, why is a Nexus letter important? You tell me.
Yeah, absolutely. And it actually comes down to a couple of the questions that I was seeing in chat as well. So yeah, if you've been out for more than a year, um, think about how you're going to service connect your GERD and IBS.
Mm-hmm.
Is it a presumptive condition? Could that possibly be that connection? And
Mm-hmm.
it's not required to submit a nexus. It's highly encouraged to do that. You have a higher chance of winning your claim. So, um, when it comes to GERD and IBS, the most common are direct service connection and secondary service connections, right? Other conditions could cause you to have GERD, IBS, could be out there on its own, right? So it all
Mm-hmm.
depends. And if it all comes down to what your doctor's opinion is going to say, right? If you're doing exactly what Coach Jeff was talking about when it came to getting that current medical diagnosis, talking about what you're going through, absolutely, that's key. Severity is how you get the higher rating. But at the same time, if you're mentioning, hey, I was in the Gulf, right? Desert Storm, Desert Shield. I'm always bringing that up when I'm talking to a doctor, medical professional, mental health professional, because I want to plant those seeds and get that information out there. If their experience shows that, yes, it could be because of XYZ, it could be locations you were in, burn pits, toxic environment, those types of things. You want to definitely get that out when you're speaking to your doctor, again, medical professional. So, and on that same line, when you're talking about the severity of the symptoms, we talk about this a lot. We've been talking about it quite often this
Every
morning.
day.
When it comes to getting that percentage for GERD and IBS, it's going to depend on the severity and frequency of those symptoms, right? So you can do things like have a symptoms diary, right? You're tracking it yourself to capture the severity of GERD and IBS symptoms over time. Relatable stories, right? Something that you can use to really push as far as being sure that you're getting rated properly for those conditions as well.
Mm-hmm.
When it
No,
came to the nexus, what's your thoughts on that? I know I touched quite quickly on that, but did you want to add anything when it came to the
yes.
nexus?
Yeah, I did. I can't say I can say the symptoms diary. When I hear the word diary, you know what I mean? Journal, book, lined thing with, blank spaces to put whatever you want to call it. Here's why. Being me, I was a former law enforcement professional. Medical evidence is going to win your disability claim. Evidence that is rooted in fact. You are keeping track of, I'm not telling you what to say or how to say it, but like the VA needs to know and say, hey, what's going on? For example, I'm getting ready to go to a new VA doctor for my back. Okay. A new doctor. Why am I saying that with GERD and IBS? Well, I have to go in there now and say, all right, well, let's get all the notes. All right. I'm keeping track of all the things that I want to get checked out because I remember when I did my DODMERB. Yeah, that's a huge acronym that just came into my life. Yes, this morning as I was, educating myself and getting ready for this class is my Department of Defense Medical Examination Review Board. When I was 18 years old doing this myself, going through, oh, I'm fine. I'm great. Look at me. I'm healthy. I'm great. No. Well, I come to find out my back. I had my back. So you have an understanding of who you are. And if you're trying to go for this specific and we're doing it, okay, how many times? Yeah. How many times do you use the bathroom? Unfortunately, you got to do it. Look at your stool. Like if you go in there and do whatever, you've got to keep, these are the things that will tell the VA, instruct and show the VA, this is what's real and how this the occupational, right? You can hear me on this one, occupational social impairment. That's what the VA wants to know with every claim. Yes, they want to know the current severity of your symptoms, but how does it affect you occupationally and socially? Socially breaking down between probably significant other and your partner, your friends. Coach Ash, we're Navy buddies. It's okay, don't worry. But yeah, very huge, very important piece. Like we can talk, well, here's the 80, the 20, the 10, but please understand if you are doing this current severity of symptoms, you're getting the diagnosis. If you're with hey, get into the preferred provider network. Absolutely. And I'm going to leave that horse there.
Taking a moment here, I was trying to look at some of these questions here. Rob Simons had a question about what's the statute of limitations for filing VA claims. Talking with a guy who's been out for 30 years and didn't file when he got out. I'm same situation. Didn't know that I could actually file claims. No idea that there was anything like that. So there is no statute of limitations when it comes to filing your claims. So
where you will get into the weeds, Rob, when you get, I mean, heck, you might even have Coach Ash as your coach. Guess what? Strategy, education, medical evidence. It's really broad, right? I can say the same thing when I say this acronym. When I say OSMEAC, what is that? That's the operations order, right? But underneath that, once you get down into the weeds of that acronym, that's how you break down a military operation. So same thing here at VA Claims Insider. You have been out for 30 years. I'm 1, 2, 3. I've got, probably got about 8 to 9 Vietnam vet clients. Yeah. I mean, it's across the gambit. You've got people that could have gone to the doctor, or like me, I was not forced. It was like, you have to go to the ER. You've got to get your frostbite checked out. I'm fine. No, you're not walking right. I would say, okay, got it. Yes, sir. So whatever your story is, right? If it is 30 years, 10 years, please get with the coach, start talking to a coach, get that strategy, and start pushing toward that end goal of bettering your position of a life change. A-firm. Yeah. Great question.
So how would they be able to sign up under me, Coach Jeff?
Right now, abracadabra. I just put the link up there. Not really. It's going to happen soon. But no, we can put the link in here for either Coach Ash or Coach Jeff. That's me. Or even you can just sign up, do a info call. I think, that what did we call it earlier? So however you want to sign up, however you want to participate. Yeah, that's what it was. I'm sorry. The discovery call. Bring it up. Come on in. I'd love to have you. All right. I'll get this next one. Trevion Jones says, does major alcohol depressive disorder fall under PTSD? So I'm not a doctor. I can't tell you what this is and what that is, but I will say this. Mental health in general is an umbrella. It's an umbrella, right? So what I do know from training, we had training today, right? PTSD, let's think of it against an armed force, at least in this case, if we're talking combat, PTSD, right? So what I would say is this, there's different, like for me, I have, mine is major depressive disorder secondary to my service-connected conditions. I'm being vulnerable and telling you simply to illustrate the fact that I've never been to combat. I've deployed, and there's other individuals that I know that have PTSD or PTSD with alcohol-related disorder. It's up to the VA. It's up to that doctor. What's up to you is providing that, having the strategy, right? Having that current diagnosis. Do you have the required nexus documentation? Do you have that DBQ? And when I say DBQ, I don't think we covered it earlier, but DBQ is an acronym that states Disability Benefits Questionnaire. It is a diagnostic form that the VA provides to the populace here to fill out diagnostic information for one of any conditions. Like, for example, for Trevion, your question, there's one specific for PTSD, and then there's one other DBQ that's specific to other than PTSD. So it's a big, long, drawn-out conversation, but to answer it, it's a part of mental health is under an umbrella. So you can have one or the other. Anything to add on that, Coach Ash?
No, perfect. And actually, I know we're on IBS and GERD, but Patrick, is a good segue for the question Patrick was asking. And say, can I ask, how do you qualify for PTSD? All my family and friends believe I have it. Great question. Now this comes down, and I'll still kind of bring it into the IBS and GERD. Medical evidence, right? When it comes to friends and family believing that you have it, I would look at it, and how I looked at it for my mental health approach, I got my butt to the doctor, right? Actually used a preferred provider network that we have here, Telemedica. I got my examination by licensed clinical psychiatrist, not my friends and family, right? But that was a good key that I was able to recognize, hey, someone's suggesting that I may have some mental health issues. I need to get my butt to the doctor, right? So I let that doctor do their portion of it, and that's where I submitted my claim for mental health. When it comes to mental health, like Coach Jeff was just mentioning, PTSD, not PTSD. Mental health is mental health from the severity side of it, but it is a little bit different from PTSD. You know, it requires a stressor event to happen. So a lot of moving factors. So Jeff is great at mental health when it comes to working with the veterans. So definitely look out and sign up under him, and he'd be more than happy to. I would as well. I'm just a big fan of Jeff's. So.
And I'm a big fan of you. Thank you very much. But yes, we are doing IBS GERD. I understand that, but we are here to answer all these. And it's a great segue into the next question for Ken. And I'll answer Patrick in another comment on his. But Ken Roper has, can IBS be secondary to GERD? I would have to look up. I think there's an article that says top 5 or 10 most secondary conditions to IBS or GERD, right? One or the other. So I think it can, but it still has to have it still follows the same flow of the Kaluza triangle, golden circle of current diagnosis, nexus, and the required attestation of your current severity of your symptoms. Absolutely great question, though. We'll throw that, and that article can be found open source, or if you're on your insider portal, the hub. Absolutely. All right, sir.
You mentioned DBQs, and I kind of wanted to touch just real quick on that as well, because that's medical professional can do the DBQ, but they'll typically do those at the C&P exams, or they will do those at the C&P exams. So it's a good idea to actually review the GERD DBQ, the IBS DBQ. There are front-facing DBQs that you can find on either our site or va.gov before you go to those exams, right? So being prepared to describe the onset, the progression of your symptoms, that over time, as well as any treatments you've pursued, their effectiveness, if any of them, right? And when it comes time for that C&P exam, you need to be ready for those exams, whether it be for GERD, IBS, both. The examiner could do both of those conditions if they're qualified to access both of those gastrointestinal disorders. So, yeah, absolutely. So.
Outstanding. No, I agree. Patrina, she's got 2 questions, and here, first one, filed for GERD, received a rating. Congrats on that. And I think the second one could be answered by the date of last year. So that would be, hey, if it was filed and it was decided prior to the May 19th of 2024, that's why you can only have one. But if you have had it after, right, and now the changes have occurred, the question then says, okay, if you have it, if it's from service, those things, go through that list. Service connected primary, or is it secondary? How then would you do that if you have the information, if you need a nexus, a current documents, whatever it is? If you have a coach, definitely work on that strategy. But I would say to prove that it was service connected, if it was, in your service treatment record, man, these acronyms are tripping me up. Your service treatment record, with also if it's after service, it follows true. You need the nexus statement, the current diagnosis, the nexus, maybe even the DBQ to help bolster. So that would be one or the 2 primary ways for sure. But then it says also the next question for how do you get connected while in the National Guard, because you have to be diagnosed while in active duty. Not true. So specifically to the Guard and the active duty, there's different things that could happen, right? On active duty, you go to the doctor, that's it. Absolutely. Well, if you're doing the Guard, or like I with the reserve, I'm driving to drill or driving back after a 2 or a 3 or a 4-day drill or annual training. So, or I had the possibility to even get, activated on active duty orders, right? Whether federal or state orders. There's many different ways that, that kind of go into this. Was it, I think there's a difference maybe to be said if you're like, I've got Crohn's, or I got complained about Crohn's on a drill weekend vice if I had a sprained ankle during a PT event. What I'm saying is there has to be like paperwork, current diagnosis, severity of symptoms, line of duty. Specifically to your case, Patrina, if you want, get with Coach Ash, myself. Hey, that's what we're here for, to develop that. Because it seems like I got a couple of things there, right? Not 10 pounds of stuff in a 5-pound wet sack. Boil it down to 1 or 2 things and be more focused on your strategy. But great questions. Anything to add to that, Coach Ash?
That's perfect, man. I guess, it kind of comes down to, can you prove it, right? If you're going in for a drill weekend and you're there for a couple hours, might have a harder time proving that service connection from that side, unless you can be more detailed, like Coach Jeff was mentioning. So Coastliner was asking, speaking of the CFR, which holds more weight, the 38 CFR or the M21-1 when it comes down to deciding a claim? So the 38 CFR, that's the laws and rules. The M21-1 is the procedures manual when it comes to how the adjudicator is going to go out about that claim, outlining the rules, regulations, procedures for evaluating the actual claim. The CFR breaks down the law and fact that a claim needs in order to be adjudicated, what percentage and stuff like that. So I would lean more towards the 38 CFR as a quick answer. You could definitely dive into the weeds a little bit more, but the M21-1 is the adjudication manual.
Absolutely. 38 is the meat, and the M21 is like, the process, whether it's overdevelopment and not. So yeah, but great question. They're both important, but absolutely very huge difference. Go with Travis America. I like that name. Can I get an increase for degenerative disc disease for my lower back? I'm currently at 20%. Absolutely. I mean, anybody can. Absolutely. If you're overall, right, if it's gotten worse, aggravated, your severity of symptoms have gotten worse. So I'm rated at, my back is rated at 20. I was rated at 40. However, I just had a back surgery recently, and if I wanted to, I could put in for it for, you're making me check this. Talking about the 38 CFR, ankylosis. There it is. Unfavorable stiffening, right? Or fusion. So Travis, to answer your question, I would say this. If you have a current percentage, if it's gotten worse and you have the evidence, okay, we said preferred provider network of Telemedica, absolutely, or your current provider at the VA, your PCP, your primary care provider there, or even at a like your city insurance. I'm saying city insurance. Geez, I'm sorry. Your private insurance. If you're not going to the VA, if you're not going to Telemedica, and you have a private doctor. So what will get you the increase is the evidence that shows the VA, and you also, by nature of you being uncomfortably vulnerable in the C&P exam, right? Or even like whatever it is, to tell them this is how it's affecting me, right? So if your back's gotten worse from 20 to 30 or 40 or whatever it is, what and how, but it has to be covered down on medical evidence. Therapy, what's some other ones? Like, like chiropractic care maybe, but medical evidence will win the day for you there.
Yeah. Severity. Yeah, you touched on it. It's going to be based on a lot of it. Are you continuing care and range of motion and inflection? If your range of motion and inflection has gotten worse, again, looking back, 38 CFR, they'll tell you the breakdowns for those rating percentages. You'll see how they're rated. And if you look and you go, well, based on this, I feel it is, get your butt to the doctor, get checked out. And if it warrants that higher rating, go for the increase. So, absolutely. So let's see.
Coach first.
Yeah. So let's see. Coach Chris, I just recently got service connected at 70%. However, getting denial letter for certificate of eligibility any guidance. That can go down a lot of different ways. They should have sent you a form. There are some things that you can do. You can file an appeal, gather as much information as possible. But that can go down a pretty deep rabbit hole when it comes to it. But they should send you some letters documenting what that reasoning is. I can't remember the form number. I think it's like 0998, if I'm not mistaken. And I usually just go with the last four. It's either 20 or 21. So when I say 0998, maybe look that up. But there are a lot of things that are at play when it comes to that. So apologies, I can't go into a lot more detail when it comes to it. But hey, if you
congratulations at 70, get with a coach, cover the gap. Yeah. Absolutely. All right. It says W Main the G. I like that. Hey guys, I just joined late. I have submitted a claim for IBS. Great. Oh, not great that she got denied. Sorry, I spoke too soon. I then submitted another supplemental claim for IBS with more backup paperwork. Just found out I got denied today. How can I get approved? Okay, so there's something in there, something in your paperwork, something in your evidence that's not. I mean, I understand it's the VA, and people always say, well, it's the VA, and we may get angry or whatever. Here's what I'll say specific to you. Read your decision notification letter. Okay, start with that. It may have information in it that's contradictory, you feel or not. I don't know. That's just the best place to start. Get with your coach. Probably going to need what? A nexus letter. It could be the fact that it's not a primary connection from service, right? In your STRs, your service treatment records. So you'll have to do the secondary connection, meaning you'll have to have the nexus. So if that's the case, absolutely. Telemedica and our preferred provider network would be, if that's the way you want to go, for sure. Get with the coach though, to see if that's the case, because you could go to a coach and be like, hey, this is what I want to do. But they might have a different strategy in mind, because it's there to do what? Improve your lifestyle impact of how is this going to improve where you're at. So,
yeah. And that's exactly what I think the benefit of working with a coach can come into play when it comes to the decision letters. Believe it or not, they'll actually tell you why, right? As far as the coaching side, we'll go through that. Is it just a mistake on the VA's part? Is there another route to take? If you have a diagnosis for IBS and it can be attributed to your service or service-connected conditions, absolutely. Keep pushing forward with it. But that decision letter is huge, and it's a key part of the claims journey when working with us as an elite member. So, and that perfect segue right into Ray. I'm not saying segue on purpose at all, Jeff. Not at all. So in order to claim IBS, should I go see the doc, explain how I'm always irregular bowel movement, have to take laxatives, 2 boxes a month, etc. Have 10% rating for GERD, esophageal stenosis, 2009. So yes, getting to the doctor, always recommended thing that we'll say here. And yeah, you're absolutely right. When it comes to talking about the severity of those conditions, right? Mentioning anything that you may be already service connected for, could that play a part? I'm always asking doctors questions, right? I'm experiencing IBS. Could that have something to do with my GERD? If you don't ask, you don't get. And letting them do their job, right? That's what they go to school for. Their experience, they may be able to do that. When it comes to the medications that you're taking, right? If you're taking medications for GERD, could that cause IBS issues, mental health? The list goes on when it comes down to it. So you're definitely tracking when it comes to the steps you need to be taking. Can't tell you what to say or do, but sounds like you're on the right track. So yeah, just keep pushing forward, brother. Oh, see.
Cassandra. I like this one. Yeah, I like this one.
That one? Go ahead.
Yeah, she'll be retiring after 23 years, AFS, and will be in my BDD window May 1st. Is it too late to get a coach in order to help with my VA claims processing? Can't tell you what to say or how to say it. Well, maybe a couple of things for you. Number one, congratulations. Good luck on the retirement. I would say first, just follow. This is what I would say if it were me. You have your TAPS and TAMS procedures there for processing. Do the BDD claim first, and then come see us after, right? Because you got everything there on base right now, more than like what we were talking about when we first began. I've been out 30 years. You're only like 30 days or 60 days right now. You are in you're in a different area. So take advantage of the benefits delivery at discharge process on base. If you wish, then I can't stop you. If you want to coach, hey, we're here. Absolutely. That's just what I would say. That's what I would say for sure.
Yeah. And anytime BDD pops up in a conversation, one thing I'm always recommending, I wish, shoulda, woulda, coulda all day long, is make sure that your medical records, everything's documented. Use that time to get checked out, get all that stuff documented. That can really help out your BDD. And if anyone doesn't know what BDD is, that's the benefits delivery at discharge. So,
or it makes me feel like I have a stutter. I'm just being honest. BDD.
Yeah,
I mean, honestly, when I do have it, it messes with me sometimes, and I'll try to say other words and acronyms. So, but anybody out there that in that boat, please, like Coach Ash said, and hey, please if you're in that realm, you're on active duty, you're here, whatever. If it were me, you have something better that we don't, right? We're not on active duty anymore. We're not in the military. Go to the doctor. Absolutely. Absolutely. Go ahead, Jim. What about bruxism?
How about it?
Goes to, primary, secondary. Is it in your medical record from service? If it's not, secondary condition still required, right? Nexus letter, document, and all the what I call the accoutrement, right? You need the diagnosis, boom. You need the current severity of your symptoms with that nexus letter. All those things still stand the same with this, but it, is it caused by, what is it caused by, right? I think mental health is one I've seen cause it. So I'm not a doctor. I don't know how it is to you. Get with the coach, put together that strategy, educate yourself on it, and get the medical evidence required for that, for sure.
Yeah, definitely check out our site. Well, we have loads of information. Our YouTube channel is out there. Tons of information when it comes to conditions there. So, Gordon, I've had IBS since the 90s. Ditto. But no one told me I could put a claim in. Ditto. So now if I go to the doctor and he or she says, yes, I have it, is it too late to put in a claim? Nope. And depending on where you served, IBS, again, being open, honest, and vulnerable, I have that as one of my conditions. I just thought it was an issue, maybe eating bad foods. As I got older, I started to realize this isn't good. And when I got checked out and I planted those seeds, kind of talked about everything I was connected for, locations I was in, etc., their opinion came in huge when it came to my claim for it. So
that's a big one, especially for that chronic multi-symptom undiagnosed illness. I think that's what it was. It's one of IBS, chronic fatigue. So that's not a good one to have, but if you got it, it's it's nice to.
And a lot's changed since the 90s. The evidence is out there. They're looking deeper into toxic exposures, etc. So it's a much different situation than it was back in the 90s and early 2000s when it came to claims like this as well. So yeah.
All right, I appreciate that. Absolutely. Jesse Miles says, I also have chronic pancreatitis. Would those also be linked? It could be. If I said yes, I would be, I can't say yes. I'm not a doctor. What I would say is this. Similarities, right? We were talking about that pyramiding and the issues that I would say get with the coach, and then you guys start deep diving that together. I know there's similarities to it, but you need to get in there. Is it service related, right? Could it be service connected from your service in your service treatment record, buddy statement? Did you have a medical record that wasn't a service record, but it was a civilian record from your time? Many different things, many different considerations go into that. What I would call a surface, or not a surface, but a gap analysis. And that's what would be a part of this. So it could be linked. I don't know. I would say get with your coach. Absolutely get with a coach. And then that way you can discuss that strategy and what is connected and what's not, and provide you resources from the insider portal as well.
Yeah. And that's the greatest thing about, well, I say one of the greatest things about working with a coach, coming up with a strategy, having that strategy session, education for CMP exam, educating you on the claim submission. But at the same time, when it comes to a game plan, approaching that, it may be something to go after initially or secondary. Right? So working with your coach will definitely be a key part of that. And so I mentioned working, and Duo, his or her question was, you guys have any job openings? Check out our VA Claims Insider site. There is, I believe, some opportunities there. So look at our career section there. And as I'm mentioning it with our site and, definitely utilizing our resources, Brian has a new book out, VA Claims Secrets. If you're looking to get a hold of that, grab it on Amazon, right? So I believe we have a link as well that might be able to link you directly to it. Boom.
There it is.
Your technology is just amazing.
Amazing. I think it happens. It's AI. I don't know. Is it IA? Hopefully it's not IA, because IA is investigative. I don't want that. That's how you can get in trouble with these acronyms. My fellow veterans, be careful. Patrina with, I am National Guard, went on a deployment. I was told that I have 1 year to be diagnosed from something or for something, and VA will consider it service connected. Correct. Somewhat. I call this kind of barracks law. I call this barracks, barracks lawyers. You ever, hey man, this is what I did to beat my DUI. I heard that a lot when I was a battalion or a battery XO. I heard that a lot. Well, sir, he said this, or that. Was like, no, it's what it says in the UCMJ, guys. Come on. So here's an example. If you went on a deployment, wherever it is, yes, there is a presumed 1 year. Could be potentially 1 year of, so if, like an issue of knee strain, back strain. So it's, yes, there is a 1 year from a time of service. Yes, there is, but the VA is still going to discern it. Right? They're going to look at it and say, okay, did you really get this on this at that time? But they look at it a little bit differently than if, 20 or 30 years, like we keep saying. So what I will say is this, that if you get off of a deployment or even after 1 year of active duty, yes, there is a 1 year time frame, but they do, the VA, they will determine that and adjudicate that at that time based on where did it happen? Was it a current severity or not current severity? Was it a current diagnosis? Was it pre-service, on the deployment? So they'll look at multiple different things, but yes, there's 1 year. There is 1 year, but it depends really on what it is what I'm getting at. Right. All right. We have, probably time for one more. Let's go. Go ahead.
I think it kind of bust out to Ray and Julie at the same time. So signing up with VA Claims Insider to get connected with the PPN, preferred provider, to get my medical evidence. My VA clinic and family doctor really doesn't document what the VA wants to see. Doesn't have to be the VA. Medical evidence is medical evidence. So if you reach out to Telemedica, that's the preferred provider network. They're separate from us. They're their own entity. They may be able to provide some medical documentation when it comes to that. So definitely reach out to them. And when it comes to that, our VA provider is usually hesitant to provide nexus letters from your experience. Yes, they don't have to. They can if they want to, but typically they'll say that it's a conflict of interest. So yeah, exactly. Very rare to find one that actually does. And at the same time, is it going to be something that can really help your case, right? If it's, a one-liner that says, yeah, it's probably because of IBS. Yeah, having more detail, the strength of it might not be there as well. So, but it all depends. But yeah.
Thank you for your time today, Coach Ash. Thank you for your time with our veterans, all of our veterans that have joined us here today. Well, whether we got to your question or not, if we did not get to your question, let's, take some of the initiative, take the fight, not the fight, I'm sorry, take your claim to the VA, but get with the coach and discuss that strategy, education, medical evidence, work with myself, Coach Asher. If you get somebody else here, and I've been here as long as I have, they're great people, they're great family, and they will not educate and guide you wrong. Okay. I'm Coach Jeff. I appreciate your time today. Thank you very much. Talk to you soon.
Take care, everybody.
Bye.